if we can get them here, there's also going to be a market for new housing, subdivisions and all this. So that's vital that promotional funding stays there. Absolutely crucial. And it goes hand in hand with what we're doing, and Mr. Sinclair and Mrs. Watkins and Wendy were at our launch two weeks ago, our campaign launch, and we put up the figures of retiring baby boomers, and from the March 06 census there were 496,000 people in New Zealand 65 plus age group. 25 years previous, March 81, it was 310,000, so it increased 186,000 in 25 years. 25 years on from 2006 to 2031, it goes up. The previous 25 years, 186,000, it goes up over 600,000, and that's a market for us. And admittedly, old people don't spend a lot of money, but they will create work in numbers, and that's an industry we can capture. But we're not going to capture them if we don't have support from council. We can only do so much with our group because we can only get so much money out of the business community. To date, we've got about $820. That's not counting promises. The other thing is that we can only do so much as a group is because we all have to work. We've all got full-time occupations doing other things. We're all workers. We have to support our families and everything else. So, promotional funding is vital. It's absolutely free. And I think that's about all for the say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we applaud your enthusiasm. Prove to you that your Lord, and also our community board and what your group is doing. The first area in which you approached, of course, in terms of our financial contributions, have been a policy area rather than an LTCCP area in terms as we look at rates. But we take your point on view, and when we were discussing that, you know, those views that you were expressing were expressed by others as we actually went out with that policy. And that policy is there at present, and it will be up, you know, to review. And each year it is an annual thing as we look at the ability percentage of what takes place. And I thank you for that. Now we'll get the officers to talk on your economic area, bring you up to speed on that. At present we are saying, because the projects are there, if we rate for that $150,000, it will put up our general rate by about 1%. And so that as we have fought to hold our rates down, to do that, Council went out with the proposal saying, do you wish to have a rate increase of this, or will we live with 150? We actually aren't stopping money in terms of economic development or working on economic development. In fact, this Council is particularly proactive, and that's why we had the Minister here yesterday showing areas, talking with people at Wawa Road, looking at important businesses. But Mr Hall, Mr Morris, would you like to assure Mr Stones there is still money around for economic development?
The Economic Development Fund has been funded by rates, so that's $150,000 of rates money. So for the next year, we're actually able to bring forward some reserve funds. So we had some reserve funds available. They're tagged for specific purposes, but it does mean there's about $80,000 worth of funding potentially available. But little of those rates money. So we still can do some so and just also in terms of the development contributions, just make the point that that's worth about on average $160,000 per annum over the 10-year period. So again, that's another 1%. With rate funds, another 1% on rates.
So I think sitting in there, we need that balance of what should the rates be, where should the money go in terms of priorities, but we applaud and we need to encourage people like you, Pride and Pataruru are going to the field days, council is out doing the area, and the more of us that get out there to show what we have. And I think yesterday the councillors who turned up with the minister, we were able to get into central government area with a cost that was actually borne by Waikato Properties of that which we had, and they flew over the area by helicopter, making quite certain. So there's a lot of active things going on as we try to balance those. Councillor Van Rooyen.
Thank you. Thank you for your speech, Mr. Starks. You mentioned a few areas, not many houses have been built, particularly in urban areas. I'm aware of roughly 60 houses that have been built in Pataruru. So I would, and I'm very aware that you are a group of private and committed people, and as you say, you all have jobs to do. But for instance, have you looked at the Rangiora Trust, how they are set up, and the work that they are doing? Because that is where a lot of development has come from.
Yeah, I am aware, and I think that's marvellous. But I also think there's a great need for it, because I know people in Tokoroa that are working, still working couples, and that they had their names down to get a unit of the Rangiora Trust because there's nothing in Tokoroa. So it's essential, like that sort of growth goes on in all the districts, not just Pataruru, and people who are behind the Rangiora Trust obviously have a lot of vision and foresight and carry it through, and that's great, but it means they can do it, so can the group. It can also be done here.
Mr. Holmes, time there. Thank you for according to those of you on the Rangiora Trust Division, but if you would like to come talk about a residential home development that could take place in Tokoroa, I have developers who wish to talk about it, but wish to see how a community trust could take it. If you would like to come and talk in terms of that area, we can actually go. Is land available, there are willing sellers and willing people. If we can put a community trust together like Pataruru, I think Tokoroa needs it. I thank you for coming. Thank you very much. Mrs. President, and I admitted to Mr. Stark, but I know that when I tell you that there is a time limit, you are fully aware of. Well, there will be a bell to ring at how many minutes? At 9 minutes. So, if you hear the bell, if you go longer than that bell,